YouTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys the second part of my most anticipated reads from January through July for my adult books. Yeah, this is part 2 of that. The sun is right here, and this is where I was going to be standing for the pictures. I can't do that. That will be so distracting, and so I'm not used to being on this side. Maybe I can turn the camera a bit. Maybe, hopefully. If I have to, I'll just shrink the picture, but I like to have them nice and big so that way, you know, you get all of the beauty of the cover. Anyways, I'll do my best to stand crooked and towards the side. That way, you know, I can have my pictures here. Okay, so anything that I need to say besides what I'm going to do? No? All right, let's go. How many? I think I have like 20 maybe of the adult most anticipated reads for this portion of the video. The first one I want to talk about is called Miscreations, Gods, Monstrosities, and Other Horror. There are, I can't remember who like got all of the stories together, but this is a horror anthology by a whole bunch of different authors that you will probably have heard of. A couple of them are Josh Malerman, Lard Barron, Ramsey Campbell, Victor Laval, Michael Wehunt. Michael Wehunt's collection of short stories was amazing. You should definitely check that out, and I'm looking forward to reading this one as well. The next one on the list is The Garden of Bewitchment, and this is by Catherine Cavendish. It's a historical fiction horror about a strange toy garden and how it just mysteriously appears one day. Now, I didn't want to read anything else about this garden because I'm so interested in this magical, you know, flowers and plants, like this magical thing pops up out of nowhere, and I'm pretty sure it's going to lure people in to this toy garden, probably children. Are the children going to then do evil things? I don't know, but if it is like that, this is going to be super scary. Yeah, so totally looking forward to this one. Then there's this very vertical fonted cover, and it's called Anathemas by David Annandale. This is supposed to be like a classic horror anthology, and all of the authors that wrote for this anthology I have never heard of, so I'm looking forward to, you know, kind of dipping into new authors and seeing how I like their voices. All right, the next one is called The Unsuitable, and this is by Molly Pohlig, maybe. This is a horror historical fiction set in a, or I think it's in a, is it in an asylum? I know it's a mental health book. It says, oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I leave myself notes. So the girl that is having the mental health issues, she has this like thing, this growth on her chest, or like her collarbone area, and it was cut off, and there's a scar there. And her mom died, I think like while she was being born, or where she was really, really small, and she doesn't remember her mom, but she tells everybody that her mom is actually living inside her. And so she talks to her scar, and she can hear her mom's voice coming from the scar. So weird, right? I'm looking forward to reading that one. Okay, the next one is from Stephen King. It's called If It Bleeds. It's a collection of short stories. I love Stephen King. I own pretty much every single book he's written. a lot of people have had mixed feelings about these short story collections. Not collection, just short story collection. See, with King, I usually like all of his short stories. Just some are better than others, but a lot of people were saying that this one in particular is kind of like stale and there's nothing really new to the horror aspect of the stories. So there was like no wow factor. It was all just kind of meh. So that makes me nervous, but I definitely want to pick this up. And then we have You Let Me In, and this is by Camilla Bruce. It's about a recluse novelist, and they die, what is it? The dead disappear, fortune left behind, who will get it? Okay. So, okay. What happened in the woods? Why do people die around this writer? Are you guys listening to me when I'm reading this out loud? So, I totally don't remember the synopsis, but there is a reclusive novelist that either goes dead or disappears, but there's a fortune that's left behind. And people would die whenever they were around the writer or the woods that the writer lived in, I think, which is super weird. So it sounds very like paranormal, right? Or supernatural. This is written in Norway, so this should be I think it's translated into English. I'm looking forward to reading this. It sounds interesting. And then we have Velocities. This is by Kathe Koja, I believe. This says it's 13 strange horror fantasy short stories. So I think I have like 4 different collection of short stories on my most anticipated reads list. And so Velocities is definitely one of them. And then we have Touch the Night by Max Booth III. The way the publishers are saying it is that this book is kind of like Stranger Things meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Most people that read this book in the comments on Goodreads felt stressed, like their heart rate was really high, they had high blood pressure, like it was stress inducing and super scary. And so that makes me nervous just talking about it. Like I haven't read anything that really has scared me in a really long time, so I definitely want to check that out. All right, the next one is called Final Cuts, New Tales of Hollywood Horror and Other Spectacles. This is by Ellen Datlow. I also think that I know I've seen her name before. She did do another collection of short stories. It's like a black cover. I own it. It's over there. I just can't see it from where I'm standing. But it's so pretty. I'll leave a picture of the cover that I'm talking about right here. Anyways, this is 18 horror stories inspired by cinema and television. I'm really looking forward to this. Does that mean that they're going to maybe do retellings of, say, Friday the 13th? Or what television shows were scary? I don't know. But yeah, I would love to read scary stories that may have to do with like being an actress or an actor, or just a retelling of something that we've seen on TV. Sounds really, really good. All right, the next one is House of Whispers, and this is by, what is AKA? Oh, duh. Okay, so there's 2 different titles for this book. One is The House of Whispers, and the other one is Bone China. It just depends on what country you live in. and that's the title that will be on the book. So if you see something that is in English and it has bone china on it, that is also the House of Whispers. Anyways, this is by Laura Cornish Coast. No, excuse me. Laura Purcell. I don't know why I read down instead of across. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. This book is written by Laura Purcell. This is a historical fiction Gothic about a rumbling. She wrote rumbling sea off the Cornish coast. There's a side house, and there's a mute old woman with the God damn it. A mute old woman with a mysterious past, and she also wrote Silent Companions that I put on my TBR in 2018. So I'm actually looking forward to both of the books that she's written. So yeah, there's that one. Wow. I do apologize. Okay. The next book on my list is Devil's Creek. This is by Todd Keisling. It's about a burned down death cult church in Kentucky. And 6 of the children in that burned down church survived, and their stories 30 years later. Ooh, scary. All right, the next is Murder Ballads and Other Horrific Tales. This is by John Hornor Jacobs. This is 10 short stories of horror and crime noir. He also wrote Lush and Seething and A Seething Hell. A Lush and Seething Hell, which has been on my Amazon wish list for years. I really want to read both of his books. Definitely looking forward to picking them up. Okay, the next one is the newest release from Riley Sager, and that is Home Before Dark. I know a couple people that in my personal life that have read it and really, really enjoyed it. It's a horror mystery like usual. It says oh no, that's me. I've never read him, but I do own 2 of his books. And this is a horror mystery paranormal. I didn't really go into the synopsis at all. I didn't want to know anything about it. Because a lot of the times I want to go into my thrillers blindly. And so I just kind of, oh, Riley, everyone talks about him. He writes thrillers. I want to read it, that kind of thing. The next book is called Mexican Gothic. Yeah, this already came out. I don't know why I stopped to think about that. It's already out. Mexican Gothic is by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. She's a Mexican-Canadian author. This is a historical fiction horror, which is set in an isolated mansion. I'm looking forward to this because seriously, all of the best scary movies that I've watched in my life took place at a mansion, or the ones that I've read about took place in a mansion, and so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And then we have Death in Her Hands. This is by Ottessa Moshfegh, maybe? I do own her collection of short stories on my floor, and if you give me a second, I will do a little like bend over look-see and tell you what the title is. All right, and the other book that I have is Homesick for Another World. I definitely have had her on my radar. I want to read that book. I definitely want to read this one, and it's called Death in Her Hands. I think I already told you that. It's about an elderly widow that finds a cryptic note while walking through the woods that makes her question everything about her new home. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to read this is, it's horror, but the main reason is it's about an elderly woman. You don't really get a lot of books with the main character as an older person, and I like reading from their perspective. I get so much of the teen perspective, and then I get like the 20s, you know, where they're trying to figure it out. I want to know what kind of wisdom you have when you're older. I want to know what you would do in situations compared to what like a teenager or a new young adult would do. So I want more books with older people in them. That was very long. I apologize. Okay, the next one is called Creatures of Charm and Hunger, and this is by Molly Tanzer. I do own her Vermilion book that I have not read yet, and that one is a horror western with vampires, maybe, or they're immortal. I think at some point they're immortal. I can't remember. But so I already knew her name before. This is actually the third book in a series, so that means that because I'm interested in this cover and this title and what it's about, I definitely want to start with the first one. So book 1 is called Creatures of Will and Temper, and then book 2 is called Creatures of Want and Ruin. And this is just loosely based on the classic A Picture of Dorian Gray. It's a historical fiction, paranormal. There is LGBT in this series. I don't know what book it's in. But yeah, and I don't know if book 1 is loosely based on Dorian Gray, and then the other 2 are loosely based on something else, but you know, it's still written in the same world by the same author. So I don't know how all that is, but that all looks good and I want to read them. And then we have Clown in a Cornfield. Oof, just saying it gives me the chills. This is by Adam Caesar, maybe. This is a slasher book, and I think I've said this before, I don't really want to read slashers anymore, and I think because the last couple ones that I've read haven't really been like slasher per se. It was more like cannibalism, and I'm not down to read about cannibalism. Ew, ew. So yeah, I want someone to read this and tell me how much slasher is in it, and if it's more scary than slasher, and if I want, just tell me if there's somebody eating somebody in this one. I don't want to read about eating people. And then I'll read it. All right. The next one is called Dark Celebrations. This is by Calvin Dimmer. It's 12 short stories about dark inhabitants come to disturb the festivities. So I think it's like there's a party going on, and then these like demonic creatures maybe come and break it up. But there's 12 short stories about this kind of evil entity disturbing neighborhoods or the peace or whatever. And then we have Bad People. This is by Craig WALLWORK. It's about 3 missing children. The writer wants to use the story to restart his career. The writer is the main character. And he has a detective that is helping him with like going over the case, because it's a cold case and it hasn't been you know, closed yet. They discover more info in the cold case about a secret cult, and I don't know what the for the greater good is. For the greater good. Oh, maybe the cult this for the greater good. That's why they took the 3 missing children. That's right. So yeah, freaky, want to read it. The next one, and now this is a on the fence kind of thing, but maybe I have really started liking, I have really started liking Western horror. I've read 2 now so far, and I've really enjoyed it. And so this is called The Magpie Coffin, and this is by Weil E. Young, and it's a Western splatter. I don't know if I want to read that, but it sounds interesting, and I like the Westerns that I have read so far. I think I got scared to read Western because I thought Western was going to be romance, and I didn't want to go that route. So yeah, to have a scary Western, which is a splatter kind of fiction, it sounds good. It does sound good. All right, the next one I want, was I in the middle this whole time? The next one that I want to talk about is called The Forever House, and this is by Tim Wagner. It's about a house that lures you in and then makes you face challenges that heighten your greatest fears. I think the house itself gets power or energy or what have you from the fear aspect of the person, and so, you know, to continuously feed, it has to lure more people into its like Venus flytrap kind of thing. Sounds super cool, want to read it. And then there's this thing called Hexis, Hexis. If I can remember correctly, this was a really cool cover. This is by Charlene Ellsby, and it's about a woman that kills her lover or her ex-lover over and over again, like for eternity. I don't know if this is going to be some kind of like, you know, where it talks about religion or what have you. But I've read like, what was it called? It was Angels, about a school. Fallen. Whew. By Lauren Kate. Fallen, her character lived the same life over and over and over again. And this character fell in love with this boy over and over and over again. And in the third book, we finally, you know, get some closure on how and why this has been taking place for a millennia. So with this one, I want to know how long this woman has been killing this guy and why, and or girl. And it's 150 pages, so hopefully it's like long enough to where you're not like, this is so repetitious I don't want to read it anymore, and not too short where I'm like, oh, it feels rushed. So looking forward to that one. If you're wondering why I'm crooked, there is here's the wall, right? You can't even see. The wall, Walk Like an Egyptian. The wall, no one knows that song unless you are old like me. Tell me who writes that song, Walk Like an Egyptian. Let me know down below that you're my age. Okay, so there's a wall right here, and directly down there is more books. And so I'm like leaning on books towards the wall so that way I have this space. But that'll mess everybody up with the continuity, right? I'll stay on this side, but the sun has finally shifted. Okay, wow, this video is just too long. The next one is called The Midwives by Duncan Ralston. Now, this is supposed to be a true crime author that discovers the most dangerous subject in the world has escaped, and he is killing women and unborn children. When I looked this up on Goodreads, I read the synopsis and I kind of like, you know, that sounds intriguing. And then I went down below and I read all the reviews of like 1s and 5 stars. I pretty much just, you know, jump around and like try to get a good even amount that I've read from each star group. And I got to Mort's review. Now, I don't know who Mort is. I don't follow Mort on Goodreads, but I want you guys to go to Goodreads and look up this review and read Mort's review. That is the only reason why I want to read this book. I mean, the synopsis looks, you know, fine, but what he said in his review makes me want to pick it up tomorrow. Yeah, so definitely check that out. The next book that I am interested in is called The Midnight Lullaby, and this is by Cheryl Lowe. It's a ghost hunter family. The youngest, Benedict, doesn't see ghosts, and I was just, I was calling him a squib, kind of like, with Harry Potter, where you come from a magical family and you can't do magic. So my interpretation of Benedict's, like, he's from a ghost hunting family, maybe he was a squib and he couldn't see ghosts, and all of the family members knew this, but there is one ghost that he can see, and her name is Emmeline, and nobody else can see her, so he doesn't know whether or not he has imagined this ghost, or he's so determined to be able to see ghosts, to be a part of his family, that he's created this one, or if she has this ability where she has chosen him to be the only person to communicate with. Anyways, that's that. I don't know what the actual plot of that story is. That's just what I was interested in. So I don't know where it goes from there. But I wanted to check it out. All right, and then the next one is called Dead Daughters by Tim Mayer. This looked really good. It's about a Polaroid of a dead daughter. So this man gets a Polaroid in his mail. When he opens the mail, the Polaroid is of his daughter and she's dead. And he, he's like, this isn't real because I just gave her a kiss goodnight. And so he runs upstairs and he checks the room, and sure enough, she's fine. She's sleeping, but they have this Polaroid of her and she's dead. And then all of a sudden, the daughter is now being followed around when she goes to school. She's seen people standing outside her window. This is a horror, murder, mystery, thrillery kind of book. The only bad thing about it is it's Kindle only. I know if it's like a brand new author, they have to go this route, where they're self-published, and so it's easier to do it on an ebook. But bummer, I just hate reading ebooks. I really, really do. But that looks really interesting, and I do want to read it. The next book is called Prisoners of Stewartville by Shannon Felton, and this is a dark novella about a historical town dominated by a prison. You will work there or you will live there. That's the only thing that I got from the synopsis. So you are either an employee of this prison or you are actually in prison for, doing something that is against the law. And yeah, was that the last one? That was the last one. So, this video, it was super long. I do apologize. If I seemed a little bit slower than my normal slow, I did have a bit of wine before I filmed this video. I wasn't planning on filming, and then my husband said that he was going to go hang out with his friends, and so I was like, oh my gosh, I have perfect opportunity to film right now that he's not home. And so I do apologize for looking a little off in this video. Yes, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. And that's it. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. Bye.